You know, I saw online that there were some interesting opinions on Lois's behavior in this newest episode of My Adventures with Superman. A lot of people were comparing her to what's her name, Amber from Invincible, and I was really curious because I was like, I know what people thought of Amber. I know what she did in Invincible, and I'm kind of like, is it really that much? Like, I just couldn't really see this Lois being that, I guess, egregious or that extreme with how she was acting. And so when I watched the episode, I really tried to hone in and pay attention to what was going on. So, hi, hey, and hello there. Obi-Han here, and welcome back to the Comic High Ground. Of course, as you should have been able to tell from the title and my opening speech just now, we're talking about episode 5 of My Adventures with Superman. So, obviously we know that Lois, I guess, deduced or figured out that Clark was Superman in the previous episode. Well, this episode obviously takes or continues that idea. We start out with Jimmy, who's waking up and he is all excited for this for this outing that he and Clark and Lois are going to go on, where they're looking for a Yeti or something like that. And Jimmy, you kind of feel sorry for him in this episode because he's very much so left out of the group in terms of Clark and Lois, because they have their own thing going on, and Jimmy is basically being ignored. And it's a theme throughout this episode because he doesn't even spend this episode with Clark and Lois. He spends it with this jock sports reporter named Steve, who no one really gets along with. But Steve isn't as much of an idiot as they make him seem, because he's kind of pinpointing certain things about Jimmy and his position in their trio, and the stuff he's saying kind of starts to hit home with Jimmy. But again, that's kind of like a background story. The main story, which is what I'm sure all of you are wanting to hear about, is with Clark and Lois. So again, Lois is kind of doing her own little research on Clark and everything, trying to figure out where he goes and where he's at when Superman's around. She asks Jimmy, does Clark actually go get bagels when he says he's going to get bagels, because he never comes back with a bagel and it takes him like 20 minutes. And so when she gets to their little office that they have, there's these weights for Steve that's on the table, and she tries to lift it and she can't lift it because obviously it's really heavy. And Clark just kind of walks in. He doesn't see her lifting or trying to lift it, and he just kind of picks it up with one hand like it's a big empty box. And he doesn't, obviously he's Superman. The weights are gonna bother him, but he doesn't know that the weights are in there either. So it's this funny scene where he is talking to Lois, and then he just kind of throws the weights on a file cabinet, and the file cabinet just kind of caves in because of the weights, and he didn't even notice it. But in the midst of this conversation, he brings Lois this radio police tracker that they have in the Daily Planet, and it can obviously track what's going on the police radio and everything. So they start getting these notifications of things that's going on. So Clark is kind of rushing out, talking about he's going to get a bagel, and then the radio pops up, is like, this situation's going on, and oh wait, no, Superman got it. And then Clark comes back and he's like, so what were we talking about? And then another call comes in, he's like, oh yeah, I forgot this topping. So he rushes out again, and Lois is just hearing these different calls go on. It's like, oh no, Superman got it. Oh, this is going on. Oh well, no, okay, Superman got that too. And it's kind of funny because Lois, her expression is like, this is some BS. So she takes the police tracker and runs out to go see if she can follow Superman, which, to be honest, wasn't the best idea on her part, since he can zip around the city in like 2 seconds. But Lois, what are you gonna do, right? So meanwhile, we find out that some more of this, I guess, stolen technology is being worn by this group of people, and I don't think they're any particular named group. I think they're just kind of some thugs that got their hands on it. But you find out that this mystery character is attacking them, snatching them up, and kidnapping them. And the person can fly, it looks like, and they have super strength as well. So you don't see who it is, you see them kind of their silhouette in a cloud of smoke. And then later on, of course, we'll find out who it is, but I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, Lois is chasing Superman around via the police radio. She's never getting to the spots on time, obviously, because it's Superman. And when she finally does catch him, it's because she happens to be next to a location where the police scanner says a robbery is going down. So she immediately goes over there. And Superman gets there and he's like, Lois, this is dangerous. You really don't need to be here. And so Lois kind of confronts him. She's like, oh no, Clark, he's trying to do this story. You know, he wants to figure out what this technology, and you should definitely talk to him about it. So she's obviously trying to get Superman to slip up and let her know that he's Clark, which Superman doesn't do. I mean, he plays dumb pretty well, but she ends up attaching handcuffs to himself and her actually. So they're handcuffed together, and then this group of thugs, or what's left of them anyway, pop up thinking that Superman is the one who abducted their teammates. So they attack him. Of course, Superman pretty much can handle them no problem. The rest of them get away, but the one, like the leader, I believe, she's kind of begging Superman not to hurt her, not to snatch her up. He's just kind of looking like, what are you talking about? So basically, you come to find out that she kind of wanted this revenge, I guess you could say, on Superman for snatching up her people. Her technology wouldn't work at the time, and she was stalling for it to charge up or for it to start working again. And when it does, she catches Superman off guard and shoots like some fire at him, and he's able to get him and Lois out of the way. So she gets away. Superman tells Lois he's gonna take her to the planet so they can follow a lead or something. And then you see this figure watching them, and he's like, well, Superman's going this way and our target's going that way. What are we gonna do? And they're like, pursue the target. So we see that this figure looks to be in some type of, and I know you guys, look guys, I said this last week. I made an Iron Man comparison last week, but look, the dude looks like Iron Man, okay? He looks like some type of DC version of Iron Man, and when I tell you who it is actually in this suit, you're really gonna be like, what the heck? But anyway, he's told to chase the thug, so he goes after the thug. Superman takes Lois back to the planet and rips the handcuff off. It's like, look, stay here, alright? It's too dangerous for you to go along. And he flies off. And Lois, meanwhile, is just kind of calling after him, and she's worried because she knows he's Clark. And you even actually see like a tear, I think, in her eye as he flies off because she's so worried about him. So Superman finds the thug because she's being chased by this person, this Iron Man looking person, and she's shooting fire at him. And Clark finds the area where the fire is being blasted from. He gets there, and again, she thinks she's attacking Superman, so she attacks him again. He gets out of the way, but then this massive ice beam freezes her, and then the person kind of steps out of the shadows to reveal themselves. So the person apparently has been using the technology, because Superman mentions this, but he's been using the technology that the other thugs had. They scooped them up and took their technology, and he's using it for himself. And then he reveals himself to be Slade. So this person that's been chasing these thugs and abducting them, taking their technology, is Slade using it for his own suit. So basically, you had this kind of Iron Man like Deathstroke with his swords and everything, and he turns his attention to Superman now. So I'm sorry, the idea of Slade being like in his Iron Man armor is funny to me because Slade is very much so like Batman in a way. He doesn't really resort to armor. He pretty much he uses his gadgets, he uses his samurai swords or whatever, his ninja stars. That's what he does, and of course he uses guns and stuff, but I'm just saying you don't really usually see him resort to armor, at least not to my knowledge. But yeah, we have like an Iron Deathstroke that's fighting Superman, so obviously he's able to give him a run for his money, but the real problem comes in when he summons the robots from the first episode, the robots that gave Superman a hard time in the first episode. He summons them, so they appear, and it's like 2 or 3 of those. And then you see holograms of Amanda Waller and the general. I don't remember the general's name, and I don't think they mentioned his name because Superman has these flashbacks and he's seen his face before, but he doesn't know where. Now, in the animated series back in the 90s, there was this general that was not the biggest fan of Superman. I don't know if this is supposed to be the same guy, if it's someone new. We'll see with the coming episodes. But he's ruthless. Like, he's ordering these robots to attack Superman. Superman's trying to talk to him. He's trying to ask him, like, who are you? What's going on? Why are you doing this? He's just like, hit him. He's like, hit him. That's what he's telling the robots, like, hit him. So they're pretty much just beating the crap out of Superman, and he's all bleeding and everything, and he's just really, you kind of feel sorry for Superman because it, he's really trying to figure out like what is going on, but he's just getting hit. Like that's all. He's just getting attacked. He's just getting the crap beat out of him, and you can tell he's not really trying to fight back too much. Like the robot, eventually he starts using his heat vision to pretty much take down the robots in one blow. But even after he gets done with the robots, Slade is still there, and so Slade is pretty much just wailing on him with his armor and everything. And he has this thing where he heats up his blades, and he just kind of puts them on Superman's neck, and it's like puts these two blade burns on his neck, and Superman kind of screams out in pain. But they're next to this freeway, and so when Slade hops back and then charges at Superman with his blades, Superman ducks and he cuts the bridge that the freeway is on. And so it's about to collapse when there's people on there. Ironically, the people are headed to Bloodhaven, which if you know your Batman, then you know that's where Nightwing is located. Of course, Nightwing would probably be probably 10 years old right now or something. But yeah, that's where Nightwing's home base is, Bloodhaven. So Superman's like, look, these people are in danger, and Slade's just kind of still attacking them, but eventually Superman gets Slade back. I think he punches him when he charges at him. And so Slade has this shot that he can take on Superman when Superman's trying to hold the bridge up. And Amanda Waller is like, take the shot. But the general's like, no, there are people up there. We're not gonna put people in danger. And Waller's like, look, no, those are just a few people, just take the shot. And again, if you know Amanda Waller, then you know this is very much in character for her. She's pretty cutthroat. Amanda Waller is not meant to be a likable character in any shape, form, or fashion. Like no iteration of Amanda Waller, to my knowledge, has been a likable character. Even I think Angela Bassett played her in the Green Lantern movie, and I don't think she was either. And it was like no iteration of Amanda Waller is someone that you're like, oh, awesome, it's Amanda Waller. So her being or having no problem with putting people in danger is pretty much right on brand for her. But Superman, or not Superman, the general orders Slade to stand down, which he does. He kind of just backs off and leaves. Superman does manage to kind of fix up the bridge with his heat vision. He fixes the beam, and he heads on back to the planet. Now, Lois is still on the roof of the planet waiting on Superman to show up, so he flies in, changes back into Clark, and then meets her on top of the roof, which, in my opinion, was kind of, maybe he should have thought that through a little better, because he didn't wipe off the scratches on his face or nothing like that. So he walks up there with the same scratches on his face, the same blade marks on his neck. Yeah, Lois didn't see all that, but he didn't have it when she saw him earlier as Clark, so it didn't make sense for it to just up and appear now. So she's questioning, like, why are you scratched up and everything? He's like, yeah, I cut myself shaving, and then, I had to go back to the house, and she's basically like, stop with the BS, Clark. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And so this Clark is really, he's struggling. He isn't coming up with good excuses to explain why he is leaving to these places. A bagel excuse was weak anyway. And then he comes back with these scars and scratches. It kind of reminds you of Amazing Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 movie, when he would go out and he would go on these missions, and he would come back, and especially after one of the lizard encounters, and he just was like scratched up and everything, and Aunt May was just like, what is going on with you? But of course he wouldn't tell her, and it kind of reminded me of that. But anyway, Lois pulls a Lois, and I say pulls a Lois because Lois has done this in history before, specifically in the movies. But because Clark won't tell her, she basically is like, all right, well, we'll have to do it the hard way, and she just leaps off the building, knowing that he's gonna save her. So he flies down there and catches her. Which, by the way, quick point. We saw Clark zip out, go save all those people on the police scanner, or do whatever he did, and then zip back in like 6 to 10 seconds. and I mean changing clothes to do that and everything. So technically speaking, Clark could have theoretically zip changed into Superman and caught her, but he didn't. I know why. I know why they did that writing wise. I mean, the point was for her to confirm that he's Superman. But he catches her and she's like, I knew it, but she's mad because he lied to her. And he's like, well, I mean, I didn't lie to you, I just didn't tell you. And you know, the whole thing about omission and it being a lie still, you know how some people's beliefs are on that. So she pretty much is mad at Clark because he didn't tell her at all. And he was like, well, you didn't, you said you wanted to expose Superman's secrets, aka my secrets and things of that nature. And she was like, well, if I knew it was you, I wouldn't have did that. And to Clark's credit, she says that, but we don't know that, right? Well, I'm sorry, we know that, but he doesn't know that because we don't know what Lois and Clark have known each other for what, maybe a month. Or like, it hadn't been long. It doesn't seem like it's been long based on the episode. So technically Clark doesn't know she's not going to spill his secrets. He's just kind of going off of what she says. But anyway, she gets mad and she pretty much walks off. And meanwhile, Jimmy, he decides he's going to go on this trip on his own because they're not answering his text messages. And then you see that he's gotten snatched up by some it looked to be some type of animal or monster or something. It's probably another tech-based thing, knowing this show. But yeah, that's the cliffhanger of the episode, that Jimmy's been abducted by something. So the episode itself, I mean, it was awesome. Like I said, each episode keeps on getting better. I don't know, I guess people are complaining about Lois's characterization in this particular episode because of how she reacted to him being Superman and not telling her. But it's really more so, and I saw some other people complain about this, like on Twitter, that they're tired of this trope of the character finding out that the character is a superhero and then them being mad that they didn't tell them. And that's just what this is. It's another one of those instances. Is it becoming old? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that because we've seen it so much. But it's not really a toxic thing. Now, keep in mind, I didn't really have too much of a problem with Amber and Invincible. Like, it was some scenes in some episodes where it was like, all right, you gonna have to chill because it's ridiculous. But I didn't have as big of a problem with Amber as a lot of other people did on Invincible. So that might be why I'm not really seeing the problem with how Lois was, I guess, how she was portrayed in this episode. Because I think that even looking at the Lois Lane from the 90s, she was more laid back. But if you remember, she was dating Batman for a while, and she was pissed when she found out that Bruce was Batman and he didn't tell her. By the way, let me flip that. She was dating Bruce Wayne, not Batman. I mean, we know they're one and the same, but she didn't. She was dating Bruce Wayne, not Batman. She found out Bruce Wayne was Batman. She was pissed off. So that's not really out of her character to be pissed that someone lied to her about their secret identity. We've seen it before. And again, in certain circumstances, even if you're talking about like real life, it's probably some people who would be kind of pissy to find something out, or to find something of that nature out in the real world. So that's why I say I'm not really going to complain about that characterization. Now, one thing I will say is that I'm very curious as to how they're going to move forward with this Slade thing, because again, this is just different interpretations of a lot of these characters. And Slade being in this Iron Man-esque suit is a change. It's a change. But again, like I said, the past couple videos, this show seems to be leaning heavily into the tech-based thing. So we'll see if Slade continues to do this. I guess he's gonna have to, because he's dealing with Superman, and he can't really just take on Superman with some ninja stars and some swords. He could try, but he won't get too far. And this is even with Slade. You know, normal Slade has, I think, some slightly enhanced strength, but that's not enough to take on Superman. And to be honest, this show is kind of, with Superman being in his first year, basically his first month, the people he's fighting are actually very fortunate because he doesn't have a good handle on his strength and his powers yet. So technically a well-seasoned Superman would not have struggled with those robots. he probably would have taken Slade down in like 5 minutes, and that would have been that. But again, you can get away with it because it's a year one Superman. But again, with that said, that's pretty much my review of this episode of My Adventures with Superman. It was really good. I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully Lois and Clark can get on the same page. I'm thinking they're gonna have to, because if for no other reason than to save Jimmy, because I'm thinking they're gonna have to team up to go track him down. And it's probably gonna be an episode where she's kind of being mean to him and he's trying to get on her good side again, and eventually when they find Jimmy, they all become happy again. That's usually how this goes. But again, hey, this episode kind of threw me off, so they might throw me another curveball like, you thought? But this is what's really going on. So yeah, but I still don't see Lois being mad at him for too long. Aside from the fact that, it's just crazy to remain mad at him. They have been going with this Clark and Lois love story brewing since the first episode, so she's not gonna stay mad at him. We know this. We know this for a fact. But look, if you like this video, hit that like button. Drop a comment to let me know what you think about Iron Slade and Superman and Lois's spat in this episode. And hey, hit that subscribe button. Share the video if you liked it, please. It would help out a lot. And remember, we have the high ground. Catch you later.